Hey friends, it's Ruben with Hi-Fi MIDI. This is V-Horn's Saxophones by Acoustic Samples, a saxophone VI collection featuring 2 sopranos, 2 altos, 2 tenors, and 2 baritones. These VIs use both sampling and modeling to achieve maximum realism and expression and contain a jazz and classical-oriented version of each saxophone type. The download size is only 800 megabits compressed, so it doesn't take up much drive space or RAM, and it uses a free UVI workstation player, version 3.1.6. It's compatible with macOS 10.9 or higher and Windows 8 or higher, and works in standalone mode or as a plugin in 64-bit format, so it works in all major DAWs. I was going to review this a couple of weeks ago, but there was an articulation issue I wasn't really happy about that Acoustic Samples completely fixed in a recent update, which I'll cover in this video. So here's a quick overview of the features I'll cover. The main page, which shows your vibrato strength, dynamics, and reverb level. The Mix tab, which gives you control over your mic distance, their levels, and reverb. The Virtual Space tab, an amazing feature which lets you place your saxophone or group of saxophones in a virtual space to get a more realistic sound field. The Preference tab, which gives you detailed control over pitch, legato, vibrato, general settings, and more. And finally, the Multi feature, which lets you combine up to 8 saxophones so you can play in unison or in harmony. Let's first go over the sounds and articulations. In the keyboard window within the UVI plugin, the articulations are denoted in red. The playable range is denoted by the natural key colors. This is soprano 1. Thanks to their proprietary harmonic alignment technology, or HAT, V-Horn's Saxophones allows you to trigger different articulations depending on how you play. For instance, if I play a short note, V-Horns will trigger a real staccato. In this case, you don't need to input a key switch in your MIDI editor. I found that this improves workflow and makes it more fun to play on keyboard. You can also trigger a very nice legato by simply overlapping the notes. On lower velocities, you can hear that little glide. This makes melodies more fluid and makes editing and ornaments easy to do. As mentioned earlier, there's a jazz and a classical version of each. The brighter is going to be for your jazz and the darker is going to be for your classical. However, you can use them interchangeably. This is soprano sax 2. This is alto 1. This is alto 2. This is tenor 1. Tenor 2. This is baritone 1. And this is baritone 2. A very beautiful sound for such a small footprint. Dynamics are controlled by the mod wheel, and this is reflected with this little slide here. However, this can be assigned to another CC number in case you work differently. Just simply right-click and then you can choose which number you want. For having such a small footprint, I was pleasantly surprised by the seamless dynamic changes. In older sample libraries, it was always easy to hear the transitions between the dynamic layers, and that always sounded fake to me. But newer libraries, and in this case, Acoustic Samples V-horns, give you a seamless transition between those dynamic layers. Here you can hear the breathiness of the softer dynamics. And the resonance of the loud dynamics. C#1 on soprano and alto, and C#0 on tenor and baritone trigger a fall. In the first version, the fall didn't sound musical and sounded like it started on the same pitch, regardless of which note you were falling from. But Acoustic Samples not only fixed that in version 1.2, they created 3 different fall speeds that are velocity dependent. The result is a much more realistic playback. The same is true for the D sharp key switch, which triggers a doit. This is also velocity sensitive. Notice how the dynamics of your doits and falls correspond to the dynamic level. E1 or E0 triggers a note repeat technique called static tonguing. In my opinion, this sounds a bit more natural than playing a note repeatedly. This is the equivalent of tonguing a note on one breath. This also resets the automatic vibrato, which I'll cover more later. F1 or F0 trigger a note bend half a step down. When you release it, the note slides back up to the original pitch. On a real saxophone, this effect is made with the mouth rather than the keys. Conversely, F#1 or F#0 trigger a bend upward. And finally, A1 or A0 triggers a breath. This is a nice feature to have, though in a track with other instruments, it's barely going to be heard because it's so quiet. Here it is. Still, it's better that it's there because it adds a realistic detail, and it's a reminder not to make your melodies too long without taking a breath. So the next page is the mix page. Here we have a close mic mix, and as you can see, there are different mic settings. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each of these is going to bring out a different sound characteristic from your saxophone. So here's mic 1, which is directly in front of the bore. And you can adjust that volume. Here's mic 2, which is behind the saxophone. That's going to bring out more of the fundamental rather than the airiness of the saxophone. 3 is a little bit further away. So it's going to sound a little more tinny. And then 4 is going to capture more of the room sound. You can mix these as you like. Just be careful not to clip the sound. Then you have a 3-band EQ. So if you want to bring out that bite and that airiness, you use the highs, take out some of the body, use the lows, and then add some body, use the mids. Here's a reverb level, close send, virtual send. You can adjust the tail decay, the mix, and then the reverb type. A really cool feature, which I unfortunately didn't cover in my horns videos, is the multi feature. So you're able to stack up to 8 saxophones of your choice. So you go to the Multitab, select one of the empty fields, and then You can add either the same saxophone, in which case V-horns will slightly adjust the timbre so that you avoid phasing issues. So I could choose the same one, or I can choose a different one. I'll choose a different one for now. And it's going to play those horns in unison. So you can go to the preferences and adjust the velocity to attack sustain. You can adjust different things so that they sound different from one another. Meaning their performance is not going to be exactly the same. So you can adjust note pitch imprecision. And this is only going to affect the currently selected saxophone. So in this case, alto sax 2. Another cool thing you can do is cause them to harmonize. So I'll select this first alto saxophone. And under MIDI, I can select the scale that I want it to play. So I want it to be restricted to a major scale. So you're going to notice when I start playing chromatically that it's not going to play those chromatic notes, but it's going to stick to the closest diatonic note. Now I need to go to the second saxophone and also restrict that to a major scale. But I'm going to transpose that up a third. Now when I play a major scale, it's going to harmonize with it, but stick to that scale. You really can't go wrong when you have them set to the same scale. And this is very cool. You can also adjust individual air curves. You can change the key switch position. That way they don't clash. Then we can add another saxophone here. I'm going to add a tenor. And I'll make that one take the lower harmony. Make sure that it's using the same port. All right, let's go to virtual space. Virtual space is really cool because it lets you take those saxophones that are loaded and it puts them in their own spot behind any one of these podiums so that you can get a true room image. So I'm going to go to my first saxophone and I'm going to put that all the way on the left-hand side. So you can click any one of these podiums. I'm going to choose the second one and put it on the right side. And then I'm going to put this one right in the center in the back. That is a brilliant feature. You can also control the type of miking. So this is overhead, AB, which is going to give you a wider sound. XY, head microphone, so that gives you that binaural sound. And mid-side. In the preferences menu, you have a lot more fine control over different parameters of the sound. For example, automatic vibrato. So you can edit it here and select how soon do you want that vibrato to start. And you can start drawing it in by clicking down, and then you can set your decay. You could also make it take a long time to get there. And you could smoothen this out by selecting this tool. You could also set the duration time. So if I want it to be 8 seconds of vibrato before it starts dying down. I can do that. Or you could reset it. Then you have volume modulation, which controls how much volume fluctuation you have when you actually play vibrato. Pitch modulation as well. So the higher it is, the more wobbly it's going to sound. Vibrato speed. So you could really make this your own. Here you can set growl and flutter. You can randomize it. I like controlling the amount of growl or flutter. Natural variation of air, pitch, and then key noises. And how much tongue noise there is. So that's going to affect the attack of the sound. So my overall view of this is that this is an incredible library and you can do so much with it. I found that it's very easy to program, especially with legato transitions, and I'll show you a quick demonstration of that. So here you can hear that each note is rearticulated. But if I wanted them to play legato, all I need to do is select the notes, minus the last one, and then slightly adjust them so that they overlap. Well, friends, my opinion on this is that it's an excellent library. The advantage of having a sample library is that you get the real sound of the instrument. You get the real harmonics and fundamental tone. You can't get any more real when it comes to the timbre. The downside of sample libraries is that they're limited to their samples. However, because this is a hybrid system, you get the benefits of modeling where you can control lots of the expression, lots of the little details of the sound. And Acoustic Samples is renowned for getting all those tiny little details. This is an excellent library, and I highly recommend it. Well, friends, thanks for watching this review. If you liked it, please give my video a thumbs up. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new to my channel so that you can stay up to date with the latest plugins and virtual instruments. Leave a comment below, tell me what you think, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.